What's up, y'all? We are live for Dog Talk Tuesdays on a Wednesday. Y'all know you got to bear with me while I slowly but surely get everything dialed in. So give me just a second. Let's see what we got here. Bully Bread Kennels, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Kyle Highland, what's good, man? Thanks for joining in. Casper, what's up, bro? Thanks for joining in. We're going to go ahead and get this started. I don't even remember what the topics were. Here we go. Okay, so the topics for today were why are people breeding blatant faults and clouding up the gene pool, i.e. the post about kink tails. I think I remember that post. Another note came from Tony Moss, one from Ryan Sterling. Topic was, has your dog ever had a sunburn, or is it even possible? Okay. And let's see, then the main two topics were, should newer breeders seek out mentors for breedings, dog husbandry training, dealing with the social media bully world, and how to know if you are kennel blind, recognize it in other breeders, how to reverse it. So we're going to chop up those four topics today, plus, as usual, whatever you guys throw in there. All right. Give me 1 second to get this squared away so I can make sure I keep up with your comments. Let me close this out. One thing while I'm doing this, I have been hearing a lot lately about people staying in their lane. I'm going to be talking slow so I don't confuse myself as I try to do what I'm there. I go talking slow now. As I try to do what I'm doing, I just got to open up these other, what would you call them? I don't know, pages so that I can keep track, try to keep track and keep up with you guys' comments. But I've been hearing a lot of people, and it's a popular, a lot of the stuff you hear in the bully world comes from the street, and mostly the rap game. Some of y'all think it comes from the street, but it don't. It comes from the rap game. And a lot of the attitude you see in the bully world comes from the rap game, especially the new age rap game. There's a lot of things and games people play now that you couldn't have got away with in the rap world of the 90s and early 2000s. But, it is what it is, and we are where we are. But I hear a lot of people talking about, stay in your own lane for success, stay in your own lane. And I think if we were breeding dogs that were more consistent, with breeders who took less of a gamble and who cared more, then I think you could stay in your lane. And because I've had breeds that I've bred, and staying in your lane was simple. Unfortunately, with the bully world, we are closely related to the exotic world, and I don't think you can really stay in your lane. I don't think any of us who deal with breedings can afford to stay in our lane, because this is one big freeway, and we all may have our own little lanes. But what happens on the freeway when somebody crashes? If somebody's driving stupid up ahead, what happens to the freeway when they crash? So when you saying stay in your lane, what you're saying is you trust a bunch of people you don't know to breed in a manner that's not going to affect you, the laws in your state, laws in your county, the look of people who view this breed. You should be able to walk in somewhere, talk about dogs, and when you say, I breed American bullies, I breed exotics, that person should say, oh, do you have a picture? We are coming to the point where if you say I breed American bullies or I breed exotics, people are just going to be like, oh, okay. And that's that. So when it comes to style, I watched a live years ago, cracked me up with dude from Bully Avenue, Daquan Jackson. And I don't remember what the topic was, but what cracked me up about his statement was he was like, I'm not staying in my lane and I'm swerving and I ain't using no blinker. And I feel him 100%, especially with you bully and exotic motherfuckers. some point we have to admit that what you prefer as your preference for whatever dog you're breeding, and this isn't everybody, but unfortunately this is a large group of people, what you prefer to do with your breedings is definitely not what's best for the dog, and not what's best for and some of you, not all of you, nor is it better, nor is it best for people who choose to get involved with breeding. There are people who get involved with breeding and they want to make the best dog of that breed possible. There are some of you who get involved with breeding and the only thing you care about is to get somebody to be shocked at the ugliness that you call a dog. And that's a problem. And therefore, we can't afford to stay in our lane. I don't even trust people that do stay in their lane because, it's like even the Bible said, God don't like fence riders. You know what I'm saying? He don't like apathy. And that's what you guys are speaking of. That's how the world has gotten to where it is, because a bunch of people who know better sit back and they don't say nothing. And, people, I've even seen people comment on a dog and they make a post or whatever. This dog's messed up, and people are jumping there. Why are you snitching? That's some new age shit y'all on. That's not snitching. When me and you go do a crime together and I get caught and I tell on you, that's snitching. You know what I'm saying? I know myself, a few others, that not only are we not snitching, we're not even snitching on the people that snitching on us. You know what I'm saying? So when you start calling all these little frivolous things snitching and stay in your lane and get the bag and all the other little sayings that y'all got nowadays, man, get your head on straight, especially with these dogs. It's not just about making money. It's not just about having the best dog. You also are raising kids. Those kids is watching how you do what you do. At some point, your dogs make it to the forefront and they make it in, or not the forefront, but they make it in somebody's home. And some of y'all are real cool with selling somebody bullshit. And what you've done is you brainwashed yourself into saying, I'm just selling to other breeders. Whatever they do with it, they do with it. But that dog's got a life that it's got to live. And if your dog is if your dog is just got a tore up body structure, it's not up. It's not, the rest of us ain't supposed to stay in our lane. We supposed to let you know, hey, that shit, not only is your shit messed up, but you need to quit posting pictures of your dog. And people are going to get offended. People are going to get offended. But so what? You know what I mean? So what if they get offended? Just don't be disrespectful. That's another problem with this bully world. Some people have the right to be defensive, even if somebody's saying something that's correct about them, because the bully world is so quick to be disrespectful. You can have a debate or argument with somebody, and then all of a sudden you can tell in the conversation this person's about to be on a race to see who can be the most disrespectful. And I don't know, this whole bully game, I do call it a game because the minute you log in, this is a game. The minute you are, especially with Facebook, this is 100%. It's not even a game; it's a circus. When you're on Instagram, it's a little more, a little more stable, I guess. But Facebook is so easy to communicate that everybody wants to have a voice. Everybody wants to express, themselves in some way or another. And so when you say something about them, hey, that dog needs this or that dog. Oh, well, you're just hating. Well, see, I come from a generation where if somebody was hating, that meant they was trying to stop you from getting the female that you was after. It was short for player hating. Then somehow hating just got thrown with everything. Go clean your room, and your kid's like, oh, you're hating on me. It's like, y'all just got a crazy way of thinking that is weird for me to watch sometimes. And I think, again, back to what I was saying, because it's not even a topic for tonight, but this stay in your lane thing, don't do that. Not if you take these dogs serious. And if you take this breed serious, And especially if you take the species serious. If you stay in your lane, you're a traitor. And I'm not staying in my lane. I'm never going to disrespect anybody. I will speak on the things that I see. Um, we still have yet to sell a dog on social media, so I don't really need to, toe the line like I guess some people feel they need to do. But I think if you guys focus on your dogs, plus the lanes around you, I because we should all be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. I think you will see your community grows a respect for you. My neighbors see the work I put in with my dogs. My homies have heard of the work and seen the work that I put in with my dogs. I don't need to do Facebook. A lot of times you guys have seen people where they'll say, oh, well, if you got this, then do this or do this. You see me, I don't jump through hoops for nobody. If you tell me to prove some shit to you on Facebook, I may wait a few months before I ever prove it. And I probably won't tag you to it when I do it. We just need to learn to be respectful, but still put these dogs first. And you can't put this breed first. Don't you start, Floyd. You can't put this breed first unless you can put the species first. And I think that's something that we have to really get a hold of and get together on. But to stay in your lane concept, people, you're going to get yourself to a point where these cats that you letting stay in their lane and you stand in your lane is causing traffic on the freeway, or they getting the government involved. Next thing you know, and you're going to get your kennel license, but they already did so many kennel licenses this year. You're going to have to wait till next year. That's why we have to govern each other, because if we don't govern each other, someone is going to govern us. When it comes to the group, it's not a democracy. There's no voting. I run that shit. And I let a lot of shit go because I think it works best when you guys have input. But if I don't like something you're saying or you putting out misinformation, there's some things that ain't about debate. Your shit's not going to get posted. You're not going to be able to lie to people in the group. You can do that shit in other groups, but you can't jump in our group and say bullies have 10 ears and I'm supposed to be cool with that shit because you got to express yourself, or it's freedom of expression. Not in this group. It's not. I don't care how anybody feels about that. You're not going to spread misinformation in our group. If it's something that you're incorrect with, then cool. I will jump in there and say no, blah, blah, blah. There's other people that will jump. Daniel Nunez, Heather from Oily Drop, Fred Durant. You got a bunch of people in the group that will say, hey, no, this is incorrect. But that's if you're saying dogs have 3 ears. But you can't just jump in the group and say dogs have 10 ears. We're not approving that. And if you guys who love to send me threats because your whatever it is didn't get approved or whatever, I'm never going to take your threat and use that as a reason to tell you who it was that didn't approve your post. Because I don't care. I don't care. And I need them to keep doing what they're doing. And I know a lot of times that's what you guys are doing. You trying to get under my skin, so I will tell you who made whatever decision in the group or who deleted your post or whatever it is. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care. Whatever issue you have with any of my admin, you can bring it to me at your local dog show, whatever it is that I happen to be. I'm not doing that. And I'm not going to say I didn't do it. This person did it. I approve them as moderators. So therefore, whatever they do, I'm in approval of. If I disagree with it, some of you have hit me up and you said, hey, I got muted for this amount of days because of this situation. And you and I have talked. And then I'll say, okay, you know what? You get it. I'll go ahead and unmute you. That's never been an issue. My moderators are cool with that. But those of you who try to pressure me to tell you who made a decision, just so you know, I don't even tell my moderators about the little threats you guys sent. We're going to leave that strictly between me and you. And then it goes where it goes. But I'm never going to sit and make that decision. And I'm rambling now because a lot of shit that's been going on that gets on my nerves. But I'm never going to tell you what moderator made a decision on your post. That's not going to happen. As long as that moderator was in the right, then that's cool. If you want to hit me up and defend it, then that's cool. And if the moderator's wrong, then we'll undo whatever was done. Facebook gives all that opportunity. So I don't have a problem with that. But again, it is not a democracy. There's too many groups that are just up to the nonsense of the bully world. And I want us to be isolated from a lot of the stupidity that I see. Um, that's that. As far as stay in your lane, please, people, start swerving. Stop staying in your lane. It's a lot of foolery that is going on in this community. People have some of the best dogs, and you see them getting ready to breed to some of the worst dogs. And it's just a lot of foolery going on. And that foolery does end up working its way and affecting all of us. Like I said, I was talking to somebody earlier. I was at playing dominoes with some homies. One of them has been breeding pits for forever. Another two of them just got into breeding game dogs, and another one that was sitting there. Well, he actually wasn't playing in the game because he's terrible. But he breeds. He just started getting into the Belgian Malinois. He's been training them. Now he's getting into breeding them. But we talking there. We talking trash, big trash, and next thing you know, it comes up. You know, DT ain't ready. He's still over there breeding bullies. You know what I'm saying? Now, they all know my bullies ain't like the bullies they see and hear about. But at the same, and nor am we at Thrower Bullies producing that. But for the sake of trash talking, you know, they just went in on the breed. And it didn't get under my skin. But looking back on it, it's like, man, we got to really fix this community, and we can't fix it with apathy. We cannot fix it with staying in our lane. You should always be minding your business. You know what I mean? But as far as staying in your lane, those other lanes on the freeway are a part of your business, and how somebody operates in those other lanes that can get into they speed past you, get into a car accident, bam, you stuck in traffic because you stayed in your lane. I'm not saying call the police on them. I don't even know if that will work. What I am saying is if you see the opportunity to educate somebody, if you see the opportunity to support somebody who's speaking on something correctly, do that. That's all I'm saying. Stop staying in your lane. Stop being apathetic to bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Stop being sympathetic to bullshit. You know, I don't know none of y'all personally, but I see your dogs, and I got to see some I love. Some is like, okay, that person needs to go to a dog that's got this, which is the situation we're all in. And then there's some of you, and I see you bring some bullshit, and you're cool with that. You're cool with knowing that this dog is just unhealthy, can't run, can't jump, is damn near drowning when it eats. I'm not supposed to stay in my lane on that. Some of you I know don't like me because you breed dogs that we won't approve in our group, and they're XLs, but we won't allow them in the group because you cool with train wrecks, and we can't do that. Enough of that. We're gonna go ahead and get into today's topics. Let's get down to business. So, did I open that one up? Yes, I did, and I didn't open up the one. See, I'm sitting here getting into my emotions and forgot to do what I was supposed to do. But the first topic we're going to touch on, first one was, has your dog ever had a sunburn, or is it even possible? No, I've never had a dog with sunburn that's gotten sunburn, and I've ran dogs at the Mojave Desert, which isn't far from us. Yes, there are dogs. It is possible, though. Dogs with a thin coat can get sunburn. Dogs that have no fur, like your what is that? Your Zozos, if I'm pronouncing that correct. Your hairless dogs. These are all dogs that can easily get sunburned. And the best thing to do is, a lot of times, though, if you look into your breed, you'll be able to find out what things are necessary. I have noticed dogs with short fur going to the beach, going in water, and then coming out and being in the sun. You're better off taking a towel, drying the dog off a little bit, and that way the sun doesn't beat. Sometimes the water on your dog's fur can magnify that sunlight, and that can cause sunburn through the fur. You're never going to notice it smoking like when we were young and had our magnifying glass out, but it can cause the dog to get extra hot. So dry your dog off a little bit. That way the water is kind of sitting more on the undercoat, helping your dog at the beach or by the pool stay cool, but at the same time not magnifying the heat because that was something that I actually made a mistake on once when I was young. We were running some dogs, poured water on it to cool it off. It cooled it off, but then the dog was still out in the sun, and its fur was 10 times hotter the next time I had to deal with the dog. So that was something I kind of learned on my own, was to start, if I do douse them with water, dry them off a little bit, and just the top fur, and then that undercoat will still be soaked, keep them cool, while that top coat is helping to reflect a little bit of the sunlight rather than absorbing it. Next question or topic, what was it? Tony Moss said, and that was Ryan Sterling. Tony Moss said, why are people breeding blatant faults and clouding up the gene pool, i.e. the post with the kink tail? I think I remember what post she's talking about. But that's kind of like I was speaking earlier. Nobody's saying anything. Everybody is staying in their lane. And like I said, I think it's pretty much recognized on Facebook. I address everybody with respect. I even tolerate a lot of disrespect before I respond and react to it. That's strictly on Facebook. In person, I am nowhere near that same. My cousin and I had an agreement of this good cop, bad cop thing, and somehow I ended up with the good cop thing. But we have to be respectful with each other, and we have to educate each other. Sometimes it's just as simple. Some of you are on here. I'll see something with a dog and be like, you might say bam, and you might ask the group, what should I breed to, or what should I look out for, da da da. I try not to get involved with those posts unless I'm going to keep it very light. I don't like judging people in person. I don't like a lot of noise. I've never been that type of person. Or I shouldn't say noise. I don't like a lot of things that take place for people to have drama and noise come in their direction. If you're showing out, that's one thing. But as far as, putting people on blast, that's just never been my thing. So I don't get involved in that. But I will hit you guys through Messenger sometimes if I notice the post and say, hey, this is what I've noticed. This is what you're going to need to breed towards. This is the dog you're going to need to look for to do that breeding, or the types of dogs you're going to need to look for to do that breeding. And because you got 4 different flaws going on, you might want to focus on these 2. Check out this guy. He's got this dog. Check out this guy. He's got that dog. Or just keep your eye open in the group for posts and look at those dogs. But make sure whoever you go to, you're asking questions, so that you can at least knock out these first 2 flaws, hopefully at the same time, before you move on to that third, because it is all a process. We are putting these pieces together one priority at a time when it comes to this puzzle of dog breeding. So, I personally think that is why, Tony, to answer your question, that is why we get there. And hold up, let me get to some of y'all's questions or comments. But yeah, I think that's why it happens. Nobody is calling people out. Nobody's saying anything. So what ends up happening is, next thing you know, people are promoting bullshit and breeding the bullshit to bullshit. This dog's got a big head. This dog's got a big head, but both of them have high rears. But that's cool. We're going to breed both of them together because they got big heads. We're going to lock in that big head. If the classic were the true classic, meaning that it was the true bullies when they first started kind of coming together, this whole thing, we would have a dog. And I think that's kind of why they look at the classic. But there needs to be those dogs, those gray line dogs, those razor's edge dogs, that we can, some of those gaudy dogs, but especially gray line and razor's edge, that we can go back to when these dogs get too far. The problem with that concept, though, is some of y'all don't care. You just, like we were talking about earlier, you don't take the time to learn. And if you do learn something, and that whatever you're learning goes against your plan or whatever it is you see going on in your yard, then you get defensive. Now somebody's hating on you. But the truth is, you hating on the breed. You hating on dogs just by the breedings that you're cool with making, which goes again, Tony Moss. To answer your question, it's because too many people are staying in their lane. Too many people are supporting bullshit because it's their friend. And it's not about picking dogs apart. They all have flaws. But like you said, blatant faults. You know, why? Why are people taking blatant faults and breeding them together with other blatant faults? Because they don't give a shit. And the truth is, a lot of the breeders who know better don't give a shit, so they don't speak on it. You know, again, there's different ways of calling out. You can call out what you see without calling out who's doing it. Without calling out the dog that proves that somebody is doing it. And I think a lot of times we get caught up, you know, we get caught up, like I said, trying to not stir the pot, not realizing that sooner or later somebody's going to stir it, and it's going to affect all of us as breeders. If we don't govern ourselves, somebody else is going to govern us. Let me go back and check out some of these comments that I know I missed. My bad, y'all. Somebody said, bro, there's no way to cure it. People have too much. I think he's talking about the kennel blindness, too much invested in these dogs, admitting their dogs are bad. Admitting their dogs are bad ruins their life. They're depending on their dogs for money. I agree 100%. Craig Jackson said, what's good? What's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Let's see. Someone said facts. I'll go check on Facebook real quick so I can see who's making the comments. Let me scroll through here. Okay, looks like most of them are on Facebook. Casper said, how many dogs would you use to start your own bloodline? Is 10 unrelated dogs too big of a gene pool or too small to produce consistency? Woo! That's a dope question. You know what? This is what I'll say. We knew when we got into bullies, we were going to take it slow and we were going to focus on temperament, structure, health, and then possibly color. We also knew that if we were able to knock out one, we could replace that priority with another. So with that being said, our plan was to get 6 different dogs, 2 males, 4 females. And we wanted to do all that within a 12-month period. I think if you start off with 4 to 6 dogs, you're good. Now, we chose 6 due to the fact we're 2 different. You know, I live here in Southern California. My cousin lives in Northern California. So that's why we chose that. And that we figured that would give us the ability to not only breed, get what we want, but you got to remember the thing is you got dogs that you got to keep. And that's where the balance comes in based off how much room you have, Casper. So now, if you look at how much room, you almost have to hit me up, dude, because this is kind of an in-depth thing. What I would say this, look at your yard, the size you have. How many dogs can you comfortably fit there? The fewer amount of dogs you can have, the pickier you have to be about the dogs you get. And the pickier you have to be about the dogs that you keep. If you're not sure, I would say start with, some people are into, where you going? Okay. Some people are into getting females and creating their male. I personally believe if you can get 2 females, if you can purchase 2 females plus 1 male. Take your time doing it. Take your time breeding them. Watch how they develop. How they develop will give you an eye on how your pups develop. So you can wait to that 3rd, 4th, 5th heat, then wait. Be patient. Don't let money be a factor in your breedings unless you're breeding for color. Then it's 100% cool. You know, if you got your temperament, once you get your temperament down, you can start working on structure. Even when temperament is almost down. When structure is almost down, you can start working on health. When health is almost down, you can start working on color. You can also interchange these things once you've knocked out temperament. So if I'm working on temperament and as I'm getting it there and I realize everything's headed the right direction and now I'm going to fade into structure, then if temperament is kind of locking itself quick, then guess what? I can kind of jump to health or color. You get what I'm saying? So, you just kind of got to look at it that way, and it's all just puzzle pieces, Casper, that you're throwing together. So I would say start definitely. Just get that first dog. Get your first female that's great. You studied her, and you talked to the breeders, and you know the mom, the dad. Get that first female, and then I would say get her, and then within the next 6 months, start looking at what she shows. Or if you know enough about her parents, start looking for that next female that can cover those possible flaws. And then once you've gotten those two females, get you a male. We did it totally backwards. But if you're just getting involved with breeding, I would say that would be the best thing. Get the best female you can get, study her for till she's about 6 months old. Now get you another female. Study her till she's about 6 months old. Now your first female is now a year old. Get you now a male. So that's going to be, of course, mostly based off the first female because she's now a year old. You see more of her traits, but also based off this other female. And if you can have the patience to do it that way, and then base your breedings in that with that same type of patience, I think you will prosper, and you will always be able to. And when I say help, I'm talking about not only pushing your dog to see what it is capable of doing physically and how long it's capable of doing it, but I'm also talking about health testing. And as you're getting into perfecting one thing, you can start working on other things. You just got to make sure you don't go away with what's perfected the first step that you were at, or the previous step that you were at. I don't think you need 10 dogs to start your own bloodline. That's a lot of work to put in because you have to remember the first thing you should be breeding for is temperament. So you need to really know your dogs, and I think you don't need 10. And remember, you might end up with 10 just off of your productions, off your first 3 or 4 or 5. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of it depends on yard size. I actually have somebody that I'm counseling now on that. We have another session tomorrow. But that person is sending me pictures of their yard and what they're capable of doing, how much money they're willing to invest in their yard. And then we're breaking it down from there. I'm a minimalist. And some people aren't, the person I'm dealing with isn't, they're willing to blow whatever money they can to get things going. And I think that's cool. But, and he and I talked about that. And it's actually him and his wife, and we're talking on three-way on our call. So we have another session that we're doing. I think he's got things pretty much wrapped up, but he's going all out with this bully thing. I think he's going to make a splash to be reckoned with. But he makes a bunch of money, so it doesn't matter for him. Whatever he thinks is the best move, he can go ahead and do that. So what I would say, Casper, is it is about your money. It's about the size of your yard. If money's not an issue, then it's about the size of your yard. If the size of your yard is not an issue and money's not an issue, then I would say that gives you more room to be patient. Get that female first. Study her for 4 to 6 months. Learn more about her parents. What flaws, what things that you feel the parents could have worked on. If you feel the parents were perfect, but there's another dog out there that you like a little bit better, what is it about that dog that you like more? Because this female came off those parents. So now your next female you need to get so you could take your kennel to the next level. You see what I'm saying? And whatever your vision is. And then from there, after you got those 2 females, get a male that's good for both of them. And again, taking your yard to the next level. If you want to produce your own male, that's also cool. I would suggest, so you don't run into brick walls, go ahead, purchase your own male, and then you can let him and your females get you in the bully world and get you going. And then when you get that male that you produce, you take that money that you made off of them and reinvest that in your marketing program and whatever it is you're going to do with the male that you produce. Just know that you're going to go harder for your production than you did with the male that you bought. And I say go hard for both of them, but a lot of people feel they want to go hard for their own production. I don't see a problem with that. I get it. And I think you should. So look at it that way, but start off slow. I don't think you should need 10 dogs unless you have your temperament. Unless those dogs are off your productions, they're getting you on the right path to your bloodline. And this is a temperament that you've created and that you know and you understand. Then you can start having more dogs. And that's the way I've always looked at it. Once you kind of got the dog's work ethic or temperament down, whether it comes with the breed or it comes with the bloodline, whatever it is, when you know that, that's when you can start getting more dogs. Just don't forget that the dogs you are going to be getting are taking up room from the dogs that you are producing. Let me go to Facebook real quick, see what comments are over there. Anthony Smoke said, free smoke, what's up? Free smoke is up in here. What's up, bro? Thanks for joining in. Anthony, thanks for joining in. Jose Camarillo said, Daryl, keep doing your thing. And now the comments scrolled up. But again, I think be patient. Let me open this up so I can see you guys' comments on Facebook, because StreamYard is not showing all of them. Northern Edge, what's up, brother? Thanks for joining in from Alberta, Canada. Let's see, somebody else said, Marcel T. Shepard, I don't run with this, with these, it's trash talk about it. I can see it. What's going on in here? Marcel, what you getting in the middle of? Hold on. Oh, gosh, I think I see what's going on. Y'all keep about the dogs in here. We're not going to nothing personal. Keep it about the dogs. Make me that promise. Let's see who else is in here. Ashley said, threats, that's mess. Oh, yeah, I get threats all the time. A lot. I don't even pay them no attention. I used to call my cousin because it would be funny, but now I don't even call. It don't even be funny no more. I just delete it. And it's gotten to the point now where I get threats and I forget to go block the person, because it's like I have to take those extra steps, and I just keep on scrolling. But people get mad about they posts not getting posted. You'd be surprised. I've had people get mad at me because I didn't acknowledge them during the live. Y'all see how confused I get with this shit. So you'd be surprised at it's just a crazy world nowadays. Let's see. Northern said, my first official bully breeding. I'm doing a distant line breeding. Hall of Fame, Denzel. There you go. Denzel's dope. That's Terrell's boy. Son to Hall of Fame, man. Okay, hold on. You say you're doing a distant line breeding. Hall of Fame, Denzel's son to Hall of Fame, Mandela. Okay, yeah. I'm doing sticking to the standard. And as y'all can see, it's harder for me to read this. I should just read it off the screen. It'll be a lot easier, but I got to have it looking over here. I love the original bully look, more Amstaff look. I feel you. And that I actually like that look more also. I just like them big. But I like that look also. Like, give me that look, that head, but on a big 140-pound, 150-pound body. That's what I like. Let's see. Somebody said my granddaughter used to breed, train, sell collies for ranch help. There you go. I have always admired herding dogs from a distance. Met a dude in the late 90s whose dad had a huge, had just had a bunch of acres out in like Riverside County. I don't know if it was Riverside or San Bernardino County. That was a while ago. But he had some badass border collies. And watching him deal with them and do pups, and just this is sidetracked, y'all. So I don't know who this is that got me in sidetracked. But you think of what we do with our dogs. His dad was raising pups based off different whistles. So that if he's got one collie, and he had a lot of hilly areas with a lot of mountains on his property. I forget how many acres. I want to say it was like over 50 acres. But he could whistle. My dad could whistle. My son can whistle. Somehow that blessing skipped over me. I suck with whistling. I can outdo my dad and my son when it comes to dogs. But I can't whistle. I don't have that loud whistle they're both able to do. But his dad used to have this whistle that sound like a scream. But he would do it in patterns. So it would be like, I'm not even going to try to whistle. Instead of it being like one long blow, it would be like beep, 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 like three. Anyway, he would do different patterns. But each dog was trained differently. So off of different whistles, so that he could whistle to this one, go left, and this one wouldn't pay it no attention. It would keep doing what it was doing. He could whistle to this one, sit down, stay where you are, because he knew that one was going to force him towards that one, and then they would end up coming, towards where we were. But the dogs were trained off different whistles, and he constantly raised his pups. And he said he was able to work 3 whistles at a time. So he would constantly keep 3 dogs that knew three different tones of whistle and whistle patterns, and he could get each of them. So go left for this dog was a different whistle than go left for this dog, and which was also a different whistle would go left for this dog. He was dope. I learned a lot from him in that short period of time. I even learned how to get my dogs when they're hunting. I can get a dog, except for Floyd's crazy ass because he's just too wild. But most dogs, I can get them to go out about 100 yards and still get them to go either right or left or go out. Now they know once they get out and then once they get out of that range, I kind of let them do whatever they're doing, and I can also bring them back in. But I'm doing it by hand motions. He was able to do this by whistles. And there's times I get what he's saying because I'd be wanting one dog to go further. I need another dog to stay where it is, but I can't do anything because I'm limited to one motion, and I'll mess up what's going on. So I got to let them figure it out on their own. Whereas he could whistle, one dog go forward, you stay there. Dope shit. So I'm glad you brought that up. Let's see. But you did say, hold on. He used to separate the pups at 6 weeks and train them separate. Okay, see, this is kind of what I was talking about. He told me they never built their pack hierarchy, so they would all think they was alpha. First question, is this true? Second question, is it wise to do this? Okay. I think you need to understand what your grandfather was doing was for his specific purpose and what he needed at the time. So and let me read that one more time. He told me that they never built their pack hierarchy. So he used to separate the pups at 6 weeks and train them separately. He told me they never built their pack hierarchy. So they would all think they were alpha. First question, is this true? What I'm assuming, based off what you're saying about your grandfather, based off what I'm assuming is his approximate age, and based off of the gentleman that I spoke to you about that used to breed and work border collies, what I'm assuming his thought process is, and it makes sense to me, is that the pups are hitting 6 weeks old, so they are not hunting in a pack. And you have to understand, herding starts with prey drive. So like the pointer, that starts with prey drive. Herding starts with prey drive. Your grandfather and those who deal with herding dogs are just stopping it at the stalking phase of predatory instinct. Okay, so what your grandfather is doing when he's separating them at 6 weeks. So from birth to 6 weeks, they've understood pack. They've also been establishing who's the dominant one in that period. And then he's separating them in 6 weeks. That's how I know he's a working man. We all love to get our working breeds that we're going to work at 6 weeks old. It's the best time. We don't want to wait 8 weeks old. We will pass up on some dogs if we have to wait till they're 8 weeks old. But that 6 week stage, if you got a dog that you working or using for performance, if you get them in 6 weeks, it's a great way to start imprinting your mentality and things on that dog. So he will separate them in 6 weeks. And I'm assuming he is probably using different commands. And so separating them at 6 weeks is why he's doing that. As far as the hierarchy, those dogs he can't deal with hierarchy. So he's probably separating them in 6 weeks, reaches a point where he will train them together, but the dogs don't get a chance. He probably keeps them from ever getting to a point where they're able to establish hierarchy. So they might be in the same vicinity, but he's putting his foot down. If he notices this dog is doing this out of dominance, he's putting his foot down. He's stopping that. And he's keeping them focused on the job at hand. So there is no chance for them to establish hierarchy. So I'm assuming that's why. I think he's telling you one thing that he does and a couple reasons and one reason that fits, but I think he's got also multiple reasons. You're probably not herding, I'm assuming. So those other reasons may not be a necessary for him to think about or explain to you. So he's just telling you hierarchy. But based off of his, what I'm assuming to be age, the guy that I've dealt with and situations I've been in, I'm thinking he's separating them. One, it increases his ability to train them. Two, it increases his ability to perfect their performance. And three is keeping them focused. And they are also, because of them being herding dogs, probably operating off different commands. I don't need this dog to know this dog's command, because then it will get confused when it's doing whatever it's doing. That's a dope question, though. Dope question. Let's see. Christopher Joseph said, honestly, no disrespect to other lives, but you are hands down the most respectful one. I follow you, answer all the questions in a respectful and positive way. Thanks, brother. You need more lives. Hey, you know what, Christopher? Thanks for joining in. Thanks for the appreciation. That's what's up. That's what's up. Definitely thank you for making that comment. And I think that that's how we should all keep it. There's going to be times, it's social media, so there's going to be times where we get a little out of character based off how our day went or the topic. You know what I mean? There's going to be times where we laugh harder than normal. There's going to be times where we snap at somebody harder than normal or whatever it is. You know, that's just part of being human. But I think overall, this community needs to build up its respect for fellow man and for this species and other breeds, so that it can perfect this breed and this community and not feel the need or force to stay in our lane and keep our eyes closed and our blinders on. Like we don't see the travesties that are taking place and affecting this breed and these dogs and dog breeders in general. Bully Bred Kennels, and I will get to the Facebook people in just a sec, said, is there a limit to think about for the low of how many dogs you can have? Well, your local county. So like where I live, you can have up to 4 dogs, and you can have up to 4 adult dogs. Once the dogs reach 4 months old, you cannot have more than 4. Okay, so basically it's kind of their way of saying, this is America. America's into dogs. You can have up to 4 dogs, but if you're breeding, they need to be gone by the time those dogs hit 4 months old. You can only have so many litters, things like that. I would say look at your local county or area so that you know what is the limit of dogs that you can have. And then, like I say, I can't give you advice for shortcuts. I can only tell you what I know works best, regardless of what you're breeding. And that is, take your time. Take your time. Know how many dogs you can get. And take your time getting those dogs. Rush your learning. Rush what you're learning about your yard. Rush what you're learning about your dogs. Take your time bringing in new dogs. Now, if you see what you know based off what you've learned is the perfect breeding come up, and you've already got 2 dogs and you're ready to spin that fatty on that other dog, then bam, go ahead, and do that. But make sure you're rushing what you learn as fast as you can possibly learn it. Take your time on your breedings and bringing your dogs in. And part of that taking your time means you don't need to be breeding. If you're an inexperienced breeder, don't breed at second heat. Wait till 3rd, 4th. Get to know your dog and the breed a little bit better, because your dog's not just teaching you about itself, it's teaching you about the breed. So, if you're a brand new breeder, man, wait till 3rd heat. Wait till 4th heat. If you've never dealt with breeding before, if you've never dealt with this, especially if you've never dealt with this breed before, look and see how your dog's going to develop. Is it going to be cowhawk, weak patterns, high rear, stiff stifles, underbite? Some dogs don't even have an underbite, but some of them you see that somehow their nose just kind of turns up piggish. Ear sets. Does it have a straight tail, gay tail, kink in the tail? Is it from an injury or spine? There's a lot of things that we need to take our time with. So if you're new breeder, don't just rush out there. Never breed at first heat, no matter who you are. If you're a new breeder, if it does happen, I've had it happen before, know how to bounce that dog back. If you're a new breeder, if you're an experienced breeder, breed in 2nd heat. If you're a new breeder, wait till your 3rd heat so you can watch that female develop. And the male that you got, watch him develop also. Let's see. Beth B said, if you are seeing a high rear and a slight roach at 5 months, Is that a cause for concern? I know with horses, they grow bum high and even out as they mature. Yes, give it a chance. Wait till you watch the dog develop. 5 months old, depending on some of these dogs are so stocky they don't go through lanky periods, lanky phases, and there's a lot that dogs miss out on by not going through a lanky phase, mentally and physically. But we'll get into that later. But those dogs that do go through a lanky phase or just a phase where they're kind of learning to reuse their legs, they're starting to get taller or longer. Uh, when it comes to those dogs, they're going to have periods. What you need to do is one, in those phases, make sure that you're paying attention to the phase. So when you start to notice a dip in the back, start doing more with that dog to exercise his back. It's young, so you can only do them for short periods, and then you got to give rest. Start doing more exercise and conditioning to exercise that dog's back. Raise the dog's food ball. If you notice you got a high rear coming, that means it may just be part of the phase. It may be because it's genetically in the dog. You start to notice you got a high rear coming. One of the first things you can do, start doing exercises with the back legs. Tug of war is one. Make the pup sit correctly. When he wants to sit on his hip, make him sit correctly so that he has to sit down correctly and get back up like all our dogs used to do when we was little kids. That's squatting to get back up. So if you can get that pup to sit for a treat, get up, sit for a treat, get up, sit for a treat, then now you're exercising those back legs. Ooh, I'm giving y'all some secrets. But pay attention to those things. So if you're noticing issues like that, sand, mud, those are good things for them to walk on. Just go in there, get your feet dirty too. So look at the muscles and the joints that you're seeing issues with. So if you notice it's a high rear, and you're noticing a sway in the back, yes, it is a good chance he can develop out of it. You can also assist. First thing first, though, look at the parents and see if they have those issues. If you know other people who got litter mates, contact them. Find out if they have those issues. If you're in a Facebook world situation where you don't want to divulge too much to too many other people, then at least contact the breeder. Say, hey, this is what I'm noticing from the pup that I got from you, from the breeding that you chose to do. I'm noticing they're only 5 months. They got a high rear. They got sway back. But again, look at the breeder's dogs. If they don't have that, chances are it's just a growing phase that you're going through. And there are a lot of conditioning techniques that you can use to help that. I'm a believer that when pups hit a lanky stage, you need to use their feeding and a regimen to assist them in being balanced through that phase. This also helps the dog's agility as it gets older, and also helps with muscle development. But as you see your dog going through lanky phases, your pup, work with them. Work with them either through its feeding, raising the bowl. Be careful not to be giving too much protein. Right around, he's going through a lanky phase as a pup. Between 18 and 23 should be good enough protein. I'm telling you a bunch. But that's what I would look for when it comes to that. So keep your lanky phase balanced. That is a gem for the bully world. If you have dogs that go through lanky phases, same for band dog breeders and master breeders. Keep your phase balanced based off food intake and based off. So weak pasterns, you want less weight, less food. You want to bring that down. Do pastern exercises for the pastern. You notice you got stiff stifles, do exercises to build the back legs. These dogs are young, so you have to be careful with what you're doing and be smart about it. Remember, gentle pressure relentlessly applied when it comes to conditioning young dogs. And if you stick to that, giving them, short on, longer period off, short on, longer period off, skipping days, things like that, you'll notice their development in the lanky stage doesn't hit them as hard. And if it is a genetic issue, then you have been battling that genetic as much as possible through using the muscles of the dog. So that's just something to think about. Can't see who said that, but no problem. How do you breed out dog aggression, but keep high drive? One, remember, hold on. I'm going to come back to your question. Let me jump to some Facebook people real quick. Stephanie, thanks for joining in. Hey, Mr. Moore, what's up, bro? Thanks for joining in. Damn, it's a bunch of Facebook. Okay. Mitch, you are in here. What's up, bro? Thanks for joining in. How do you cure kennel blind? Okay, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to the topics. This live is going long, but we're gonna get to the topics. And we're gonna tell how to cure it if you have it, and how to cure it if somebody else has it. You can have big cash, but if you don't have the knowledge putting dogs together, it isn't gonna get you anywhere. Exactly. And why did your comment not show up on StreamYard? See, that's what makes this shit difficult. But you're 100% right, Steph. Kyle Darby said, depending on your circumstances, a co-own could be a great option too. Co-owns are great. Make sure it's somebody that you know outside of dogs and that you trust. We have a co-own going on right now. And make sure it's somebody, again, that you know outside of dogs and that you trust. Family, friends, you know what I mean? Rob McCormick, what's up? Thanks for joining in. Let's see. Mastrapa Sancho said, what's up? What's up, Mastrapa? I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, especially since I said it twice. Let's see what else we got going on Facebook. And then I'm going to get back to you guys on YouTube. Give me just a second. This one's not coming up. All right. Hold on. So I got one page I'm going to have to go to the comments on. All right. So let's get down to, oh, shit, everything's slowing up. Come on. Let me close this one out. My whole computer is just messing up. All right. So one of the topics was, how do you cure kennel blindness? If you are kennel blind, how do you cure it? There we go. Here's the deal. Kennel blindness is, some people are not kennel blind. They know they got some shit to work on in their yard. They just won't admit it on Facebook. And you can't blame a person for that, because this community is filled with so much ignorance and hate that even when the ignorant are right, you almost can't acknowledge it. But some people are kennel blind because they love their dog. It's theirs, and it has everything that they think it has. And there's nothing you can tell them to get them to understand that they are 100% wrong about their dog. You're never going to be able to convince them of it. That's the type of kennel blindness. How do you cure that? How do you cure it? If you have kennel blindness and you do not know, one of the first things you can do is force yourself to find one flaw on your dog. When you spot it, when I say flaw, I'm not talking about something that you don't like. I'm talking about an actual flaw. And when you spot it, look for another. And look for 10. Look for 10 flaws on your dog. You're hopefully not going to find 10. If you cannot find at least 3, you are kennel blind. If you can't find 3 plus 5 things that you would like to fix, even in your own thought process, then you are kennel blind. If you only talk about the size of your dog, the look of your dogs, the pedigree of your dogs, but you never mention temperament, you are kennel blind. A lot of y'all ain't gonna like that answer. But yes, if you can't talk about the temperament of your dog and how you got to that temperament, which drives you put together, and the thresholds of those drives that you use to create a specific temperament that you are looking for, then you are kennel blind. If your dogs are just nice because the people you bought them from sold you nice dogs, you are probably kennel blind, because your breeding and temperament's not a factor in what you should be seeing. Temperament is a phenotype. It is not just a genotype. It is not a spirit that lives within the dog. It's a phenotype that you see. Unfortunately for us as dog breeders, you have to learn to see it and see it correctly, and it takes years. But the cool thing is we get to break it down in drive. So when you're looking at a high rear and you're looking at temperament at the same time, I'm looking at the temperament, I'm looking at a high at the rear of the dog. Within this temperament, I see a drive I don't like. Within the rear of this dog, I see that it's high. Why is it high? Is it because the front set is off, meaning that the dog's shoulders are too wide, so it tends to sit low in the front? Does he have weak pasterns? Because if the shoulders are too wide in the front, a lot of times the front's going to is going to sit lower. Does it have weak pasterns? Or is it the fact that it's not necessarily a high rear, the dog's got to sway back? Or does the dog actually have a high rear? And is that high rear due to the fact that the dog has lack of angulation? It has stiff stifles. Is it the lower part of the leg that's too long, or is it the top upper part of the leg that's too long? And is it not angled correctly? There are a lot of things that can cause a high rear. But, again, how we have to, as far as kennel blindness, you got to be able to do it. So everybody, when you go home, that would be your homework. Let's figure out if you're kennel blind. Go home, look at you're probably at home. I'm talking like I'm somewhere else. But get home, look at your dogs. When you look at your dog, force yourself to find, let's say we're going to find 10 things. We're going to find 5 flaws, and we're going to find 5 things that aren't flaws, but I would like to fix to make it my own thing. So the head could be good, but I want a bigger head. Find 5 things you want to work on and 5 flaws you need to fix. If it needs to be fixed, it means it's broken. Admit that to yourself. So you want to cure your kennel blindness, go ahead, find 5 flaws you need to work on, 5 things that you would like to change. And that's just in the body. When it comes to your dog's temperament, find 5 flaws in your dog's temperament when it comes to this breed, and find 5 things that you would like to change, bring down, or increase, but may not necessarily be temperament. But may not necessarily be a flaw with the temperament. And remember, when anything that you're talking about when it comes to temperament has to be a drive, just like you have to know what drive you're talking about when you talk about, I don't like the fact my dog jumps off on the couch, and when I push him off, he jumps back on. What drive is causing that temperament? That's what you need to figure out. So the same thing with the high rear. If you got a high rear, what is it that's fixed? What is it that's fixing it? Because if you're kennel blind, you're never going to fix it. You're not even going to acknowledge that these issues are there physically or mentally when it comes to your dog. So that's the way you fix kennel blindness in yourself, is ask yourself, what are 5 things I need to fix on my favorite dog in my yard? And what are 5 things that I can make better? And that will help you cure kennel blindness. The way you help someone else cure their kennel blindness, tell them that. Find 5 things that you need to fix and 5 things that you think you can make better. And that's how you cure it all. That's how you cure kennel blindness, because the facts are this. If you can't find 5 things on your dog, if you can't find 3 things on your dog, you're guaranteed kennel blind. You can't find 5 things that need to be fixed on your dog, then you might have a good dog, but you close to being, if you can't find 5, you definitely are. You can't find 5 things that need to be fixed on your dog. Hopefully it's true. You got a good dog. You should always be able to find 2 to 3 is what I'm saying. You should always be able to find 5 things to make better on your dog. Okay, so let's leave it like that. And the reason I say the number 5 is because it takes, for the best of breeders, it takes 5 generations to fix a breed. To create a breed. For the best of breeders, it takes 5 generations, at least 5 generations, to be able to create your own bloodline within a breed. So if you look for 5 flaws on your dog, plus 5 things you need to fix, plus 5 things that you need to that you think you can make better. If you can't find 5 things, then study the breed. Study how the breed is supposed to look. ABKC came out with that illustration. It's perfect. Look at that. Read it up and down. Understand it. Break your dog down when it comes to that. You should be able to find 5 things. If you can't find 5 things after studying and learning the breed, then now you can go ahead. Now let's find 3 things. Once you have found 3 things, you should start breeding to fix it. You might fix it and get to 2, even 1. Hopefully you get to the point where there's no flaws. I doubt it's going to happen, but hopefully you get there. But also remember, when you're looking for 5 things to fix, that's really 10 things. 5 in body, 5 in mind. When you're looking for 5 things to make better, that's 10 things. 5 in body, 5 in mind. And when I say mind, I'm talking about the temperament. When I say body, I'm talking about the dog structure. You guys haven't even gotten to the level of where we used to also have to find 5 things about this dog's ability, things that it can actually do, not just its look. What's up, girly girl? You hungry? I'll feed you in a little bit. But so that's what I would say. To cure kennel blindness, you got to force yourself to find it. What was the other topic? Get down, girl. I'm trying to jump in my live right now. What was the other topic? We also had, should newer breeders seek out mentors for breeding, dog husbandry, training, dealing with social media and the bully world? Get off of me. Yes. That's my answer to that question. We're going to keep it quick because we're already at 7:11. But yes, breeders, find a mentor. Let me check on some of you guys' comments. And looking for a mentor, you want it. It's a tricky balance because this is a new breed. You are going to have people that know everything that you need to know, but they haven't necessarily gotten their dogs to the level of other people yet. You know what I mean? Because they're still working on it, starting to get there. They've had setbacks. You know, I would say you definitely, when it comes to mentoring, hey, what are you doing? When it comes to mentoring, you definitely want to deal with somebody that's been breeding any breed come from over there, Cardi, that's been dealing with any breed, man, at least 15 years. You know, when it comes to bullies, I would just look at the dogs that they got, what it is they're pushing, what it is they respect, because they might have, like for me, for instance, I have been breeding for years, but I just got involved with bullies. So I know what I'm looking at, but I'm also still learning. But one thing I can tell you is that if you come to me with something I don't know, there's people I can hit up to get that answer. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know. Some of you on here have experienced it where I say, you know what, I don't know. I'm going to hit up this person and I'm going to find out for you. And we find out together. But you got to look at somebody who's able to, who has the knowledge, but is also able to explain it. And can back it up by what they're saying. You have to make sure that when it comes to finding a mentor, that it's not somebody that's just gravitating you towards their dog. If you got a mentor and they talk about money all the time, that's a problem. If you got a mentor and they every now and then you hear them say, I don't like people who come to me for questions and then I turn around and they bought a dog from another breeder. You have to be careful of those type of people. If they only want to mentor you for you to come to their yard, then the answer to all your questions are going to be their yard related. So be careful of that. But what I would definitely say is, you know, I think newer breeders, find somebody that can mentor you. There are people that might mentor you for free. There are breeders who may, I don't know, they might charge you something. Find somebody that is reasonable and is willing to educate you on dogs, but they should also, before you get into them, they should, if you're looking at a dog you like and you're saying, hey, can you mentor me? That's crazy. What I'm saying is this person should already be putting out information or some type of consistency. You know, if they bought their first dog and they are grand champ, that's not somebody that's going to be able to mentor you. If, you know, now, if they're in the show ring, like you got a Fred Duran. Fred Duran has 2 grand champions. I don't think anybody has that except for him. And that's the person that, okay, my daughter just landed. that's a person that, you know, is going to make a good mentor because they're proven. You know what I'm saying? They get the breed. He's also a show judge. You know, now I'm gonna tell y'all, some of these show judges, they don't know shit. That Fred Duran knows his shit. Some of these show judges, they don't know shit. They're cornballs and they're on Facebook flopping around, trolling and shit like that. Some of them don't know shit. Hopefully, they've studied the breed standard and they're not going to let any biasness get involved. But if they're clowning around on Facebook, they're clowns on Facebook. What makes you think they're not going to be clowns when they get in there to judge dogs? That's just crazy to assume that they wouldn't. You know, somebody like Fred, you don't see him get caught up in anything. If Fred tells me my dog ain't shit, then I just gotta believe it because you don't see him. You don't see him getting caught up in bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And he's producing grand champions. He's two. You know what I'm saying? So and he can also, some of you who interview, this breed bullies. There isn't a lot of dog husbandry. Um, Training, dealing with social media. Yes, again, there are some people who never get, who are able to promote their dogs. They're able to help educate the community. They've got something to offer the community beyond just the puppies they sell, and they're able to kind of gravitate and in the right directions, and at the same time maneuver through, that room full of snakes and vultures without any issues. Uh, those are people that you might want to talk to or watch. You know what I'm saying? People who do great photography. Why does Brett Porris's pictures stand out so much? She may not help you, but you can still watch what she's doing and get an idea of it. So I would say definitely having a mentor is something that you should definitely be looking for if you are a new breeder. If you are an experienced breeder, you kind of just need to see what's going on, the way things are moving, and then you head that direction. I'm gonna run through this. Let's see. I think we hit all the topics. I kind of was rambling a lot tonight. Um, Get rid of dog aggression. That was one of the questions, and I think I missed that. Okay, to breed out dog aggression, you are going to, is just like any other thing. It's a temperament issue. What you need to try to figure out is, are you dealing with rank drive or are you dealing with dominance? If you are dealing with, or are you dealing with fight drive? Some dogs are not dominant. They're not rank driven. They just love to fight. Some dogs are dominant, but only when it comes to the couch or when it comes to their food. Then you have other dogs that are rank driven. They always want to be at the top. They are constantly submitting other dogs. If they are playing and losing that roughhousing, next thing you know, that rank driven dog turns it into a fight. So that's something that you have to know which of those traits. You're more than likely dealing with one of those three traits: fight drive, dominance drive, rank drive. You need to breed it out. You need and still maintain drives in the dog. And this is gonna be the last question. I'm gonna jump off of here and see what my mom is calling about. But you need to know which of those 3 drives you're dealing with, so that you can breed that drive down, and then maintain the other drives that you do like about the dog. You see what I'm saying? What we've done in the bully community is we say this dog is for some reason dominant, and rather than figuring out whether it's fight drive, dominance drive, or rank drive, we label it dominance, we label it fight, we label it scary, and then we just breed down everything. And next thing you know, you wonder why your dog won't chase squirrels, and you're lying to the community, telling them you telling us that you trained it not to chase squirrels. Some people do, but if you want to get the bully to the point where it still is alert and it sees, like who was it? He's on I can't think of his name. I might have saw him post earlier. It's about to make me mad. If I'm not mistaken. Why can't I think of his name? My mind just went blank. Anyway, one of the guys that always watches the live has a live where he went live and he's walking towards a squirrel, but he's trying to teach his dog to ignore it. See, that's perfect. But if your dog, a predator, automatically ignores squirrels, that's a problem. See what I'm saying? So you need to make sure that your dog, when you're looking at breeding out dog aggression, figure out what aggression it is. To help you figure that out, you'll have to hit me up. But figure out what aggression that is that you're dealing with. That way you breed down that drive and you can maintain the others. People push the bully as a docile dog. And I've seen bullies at dog parks that are easily submitted by dogs that they should have been able to beat the hell out of or submit that dog. You should be able to bring down different drives without affecting your dog's prey drive, or bring down prey drive without affecting with still maintaining your dog's dominant drive. If you've got a male, you do want him to have a little umph to him. And you shouldn't breed all that down because you didn't know what drive was causing the problem that you were dealing with. But yes, it is possible to breed out dog aggression, but you need to know what drives you're dealing with. So hit me up on that, and we can definitely get into more about that. Other than that, like I said, I got to call my mama, and I'll see you guys next Tuesday. We'll be back on Tuesdays. Late.